What's up, everybody? Welcome to Pemetawe Plays with David and Ethan. He's Ethan.
And he's David.
What's wrong with you?
What?
Where's your energy?
Okay, and that's David.
You didn't even point.
What?
You didn't even point.
And that's David.
There you go. I want you to do like a fucking swipe of our names. Well, that's one F. You gotta bleep that out.
One beep. Swipe of our names.
Yep, you got it, buddy. Anyways, if you tuned in last week to episode 1, then you won't be surprised to hear that we're talking about Keystone North America this week by Rose Gauntlet Games, who should be sending us a couple of matching hoodies any day now.
Yep.
11805 94th Street, Edmonton, Alberta, right in the heart of Alberta Avenue.
Must have just been lost in the mail or something.
That's where we are.
That's not where our mail is, though.
What?
Not where our mail is, though.
Yeah, 11805 94th Street. What's
Yeah.
our mailing address, you
Yeah.
clown?
Yeah, except where's our hoodies?
I don't know.
Lost in the mail.
Talk to
'Cause I'm
them.
not at this address.
Don't look at me, look at the camera.
That was a swing and a miss on that joke. Keystone North America.
It's a game for 1 to 4 players in which the players are playing biologists, helping to create a tableau of cards in a 4x4 grid, anchored by Keystone species. Is that what they call it?
Oh, you read off the back.
Oh, yeah. In Keystone North America, you and your friends will take on the role of biologists and work to build an interconnected ecosystem through the careful placement of cards. Use skills, introduce important Keystone animals, and perform wildlife research to maximize your points. So basically it's a card-driven tableau game in which you're taking turns either drafting cards or taking one of a random assortment of actions, trying to fill your 4x4 grid with animals. Every animal has a number from 1 to 5 and will have 1 or more habitats of 4 habitats, and then also other symbols that could equate to more points.
Which, now that you mention it, I don't know what those other symbols mean. It's like habitat on the left, but then on the right, it's just like snowflake, grass.
I think that's their season, their preferred season.
Mm.
So I think on the right you actually got the right is where the habitats are, the left is where the other tingies are. So there's a symbol guide here. You talk while I look.
All right. Well, I'm gonna open up the old box, see what we got.
Show me what you got.
Well, we got the rule book.
Hell yeah, we do.
We got
It literally does not tell us what these symbols mean at all anywhere in here. It's
Perfect.
truly wild.
That means they're not
Oh,
important.
here we go. I got it.
Nope.
So we've got. Oh, you were right. It is on the left. The habitat is on the left. You win this round. We've got forest/woodland, desert/grassland, wetland/river, and Arctic/alpine. Those are the 4 types of habitats. And then you've got a keystone symbol. You've got a endangered species symbol. That little cat scoop is a tag, sequence number, and then one of the 4 seasons.
What would you say this mat is made out of?
Neoprene.
Neoprene?
Neoprene.
Get a nice neoprene mat.
Now, this is only in the deluxe version, which we have here.
Yeah, not to brag or anything, but we have
The deluxe
expensive
edition. The fancy pants version. I do like a good neoprene mat, and I do. So, hold that up again. What's interesting about the neoprene mat is the neoprene mat gives you a place to place all of your cards. So when you're playing the game, you have 5 actions, I think, out of 10 random tiles. You've got 4 different wild habitat cards, and then you've got a tableau or a row of 6 animal cards to draft from, plus your draw pile and your discard pile. So what's interesting is in the non-deluxe version, you don't actually get a board to recreate this. You basically just have to kind of designate everything on the table.
Yeah, you just freestyle.
Use your imagination. They do give you a little round counter, but I do like the neoprene mat. I'm always a big fan of neoprene mats, and I think that the neoprene mat definitely adds a nice visual. Oh, we really destroyed this box when we put it sideways.
Oh, God.
Good Lord. Lord have mercy on our souls. So you've got these different action tiles here. So every tile is double-sided. They've got a white side and a yellow side. And so what happens is on your turn, you can either take an animal from the row of 6 animals and place it on your board of 4x4, or you can take a white action, and when you take a white action, you flip it over to its yellow side, or you can take all of the yellow actions that are available. And then if you take all of the yellow actions, you move the round counter down by 1. So the game will continue until either the round counter hits the end, or until one player has completely filled their 4x4 grid.
You got it.
It's true.
You really
I
did.
nailed it.
You want to show the seasonal mat thing?
I would truly love to, as soon as I finish sorting out this nightmare of cards. So these boards, I believe, come in the regular version, and I believe they're just like this. But in the deluxe version, you get 4 nicely themed mats that... Oh, good Lord. four nicely themed seasons. So you have winter, spring, fall, and summer. So these aren't like asymmetrical or anything like that. They just have different artwork on them. And if you prefer to not have beautiful artwork when you're playing a game, you could also just use
The green side.
yeah this plain boring ass side.
Oh, there's little plants on it.
Does it? Oh yeah, I guess it got a little pattern.
All right, you win this round. They really thought of everything.
They truly did. And then of course you got your little score pad. And I will say too that it has a like not a game trays or fancy tray, but it does have like a nice little plastic tray that has a place for everything except for this guy. This guy just lives on his own. I don't usually use score sheets when I'm playing games, but I think this is an important score sheet. So, like I said, the game plays until you either reach the end of the rounds from flipping over the yellow action tiles, or when somebody fills their board. And then what happens is you score for each of the 4 columns and each of the 4 rows on your board, as well as a secret objective card that you will be dealt at the start of the game. And you also score for every 3 synergy tiles you have, which are these little acorns. So the way the scoring specifically works is you must have a habitat of animals, which means 2 or more animals in either ascending or descending numerical order. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that all share the same habitat icon, which we missed the first time we played.
Yeah, which is where...
When we say we missed, I missed.
So the first time we played, we were a little confused on what the numbers meant on the card. I'll probably just add like a picture of a card.
There's a card.
Oh, there's a card right there. So there's a little number at the bottom.
This one has a 4 on it.
Yeah, it'll say like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And with those, you need them, obviously, like you just said, either going up or going down. But then you also need the habitat, and we originally thought it was either or.
Yep.
So
no, I knew it was a number. I just thought, so when you place a card in your tableau, for every card that's orthogonally adjacent to it, so up, down, left, right, if you get a acorn token for every matching symbol, which I did know about, but I forgot that what you were saying is that
what was I saying?
the set has to be numerically ascending or descending, but also share that common habitat.
Yeah, so I originally thought when we were playing the first round that it was either or, so I was like, well, it's like winter, or no, it was like grasslands and then mountains, but it's 1, 2, 3, so it's fine. I'll just score some points at least, and that was the most wrong I've ever been.
And I thought that was the case too until the very end when we were looking at the rules for, okay, how do you score this again?
Yeah.
Oh boy. This is a fun little twist.
Zeros.
Yeah. It's so that's Keystone. I mean, that's kind of the rules in a nutshell. I think the components are really nice. My first gripe with this game is you have these little acorns. So when you're drafting from that pool of 6 cards, you have to spend 1 of these synergy tokens for each card you want to skip. So you start with 5, 6, 7, or 8, depending on the number of players and what the order is. And so these are fairly important. Now, what I don't like is that these are double-sided. On one side it says 1, and the other side it says 3. In a 2-player game, it didn't really matter. We just ignored the 3s and then just treated them all as singles. But these chips are getting moved around quite a bit from your pool onto the cards, off of the cards into your pool, from the cards back into here. So it just felt like kind of an oversight that like there should have been separate tokens for 3s and separate tokens for 1s, so that there was no confusion over what is a 3 and what is a 1. It's a minor gripe. I don't think it like is a game-breaking issue. I don't think it like drastically detracts from the game, especially in a 2-player game, because we had more than enough synergy tokens that we didn't ever have to worry about having 3s. But it just kind of felt like a weird thing where it's just like, well, is this a 1 or is this a 3? Because, I mean, obviously if you're playing board games with people you trust, and they're not going to just like actively abuse that, but it kind of adds another layer of like having to pay attention. Did I accidentally flip this tile, or did I have this many tiles? Yeah.
And I also just think it's weird that it like you said, it's either 1 or 3, but it's weird that's not just 1 for 1s, 1 for 3s. But it's also like, this is like even smaller of a point than what you just said, but like it's weird that it's 3 and not 2.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the 2 would make more sense, and then just have it like, even if it is like 2-sided, 1 and 2 just makes more sense than 1 and 3, because it's like having 3 points is a lot more important than having 1, and like you could entirely change the entire game off of that 1 3-pointer. So
that's what MJ did.
It's true. Michael Jackson.
Yep. Mary Jane.
Boy and girl.
Yep.
And weed.
Classic. So the card art's really nice. I think all the animals are really well illustrated. I think like it's kind of got, I think they're all illustrated, but they've got like kind of a pseudo photorealism to them. So it makes them really nice to look at. it's a very aggressively competitive game because you have a very tight tableau of 4x4 cards, and you need to find that perfect combination of numbers and also habitats. So it's a weird kind of like competitive game. There's a lot of decision making for what seems like it's going to be a fairly simple game.
Yeah, I think that's where my first issue kind of pops up, is that I think it's fine at the start, except you really do hit this wall where unless it was played perfectly, about 4 of your squares, usually 4 are like not really usable. Like it's just, you just throw them away. So you only really use like 4, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. Well, I think
Or
even
no,
if you
you
play
don't.
it perfectly, I don't think you can do because if you have like going from the top corner like 5 4 3
Yeah.
2 and then 5 4 3 2, right, and then 2 3 4 5 2 3 4 5. Yeah, like you're not gonna fill in those
Yeah.
other 4. So, I mean, that's the whole point of the game, I guess, is like you're never gonna have a perfect. You're never gonna fill all 16 spaces perfectly equally, and so you
Yeah.
have to kind of decide where your sacrificial points are gonna come from, and I think that's where. So you at the start of the game you get a secret objective card that has 4 secret objectives on it. And it all has to do with placements of specific symbols on their tableau and or the number of symbols just on the board in general.
Yeah.
And that can net you a fair number of points. So you kind of have to make that decision between, am I going for these key habitat things or am I not? Some of the actions you can do will allow you to put research tokens on specific cards, and the research tokens score for extra points at the end of the game. And then there's also the Keystone animals, which if they are part of a scored habitat, so 2 or more cards in ascending or descending order that share that symbol, then they double or triple or even quadruple the points if you have enough Keystone animals on there. So like there is a lot of decision making that goes into the game. For somebody like me, and I think you had the same problem, like I want to create as perfect of a tableau as I can.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can't really do that.
Yeah.
And then that's exacerbated by the fact that there's only ever 6 cards in the offering to take, and if you are like me and you can never get the cards you want, then it's just like you're chasing that perfect card the entire game. And so you have to really kind of be willing to just let things go and say, well, I can't make this perfect, so I'm just going to take a card that isn't going to be perfect, and hopefully something comes up. The actions give you a lot of flexibility there, which I think we missed in the first game, and we really utilized it in the second game, because the actions will allow you to increase the scoring on your cards, give you more of the synergy tokens, but almost all of the white side actions, the single-use actions, let you remove 2 or 3 cards from the offering. So you get to cycle through a lot of those cards, which helps give you more control of if you're looking for a specific card or trying to prevent your opponent from getting a good card. You can do that.
Yeah. And like just like what my main point was with the thing I was saying before is just I think it's Jesus, my voice. I think the issue is
Because you were talking so much for the hour before this.
Yes, have to warm up my voice again. I think it's a little bit weird how it almost feels like it's working like not really like against you, but it just feels like you can win or lose and you didn't really have anything to do with it. Like it's not a matter of like I played well and I won. It's just a matter of I played less bad than you did. And like it's not a huge issue. It's just I'm not a huge fan of that style of games where it's just like I don't really have like control on what I'm doing. I just have to hope that it works from the start up until the end.
I know what you're saying, and I do agree that like any game that is predominantly card driven, like this is a lot of debate that you see online with card games. I do think there's a lot of control that gets lost when it is random cards. However, again, I think that extra like tuning of being able to like remove cards from the tableau and replace them does give you a fair bit of control in terms of like at least pushing through more of the deck.
Yeah.
The problem I kept having is every time I did that, the card that I need would come up and then you'd grab it.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, aspect of the game too, I think, is that like it can be very competitive, and it can be one of those games where not only do you have to watch what your tableau is building, but also watch what your opponent's tableau is. So you know, like not only do you have to think about which cards you need to get, you also may want to think about what cards your opponent is getting. So despite the fact that it's this beautiful, nature game with all this fantastic artwork and like very peaceful tableau building, it's actually like a fairly cutthroat game.
Yeah, and also like I do think it is a little bit more intense when it's just us two, because it is like
all that masculine energy.
Yeah, all of that just testosterone. But it's just like we can't like switch out all of the cards that fast. So I feel like if you had like 4 people, it wouldn't really matter if you can't find the card, because like eventually one will pop up. Except when it's just us two. Like the last match we played, we probably went 4 turns without either of us ever like grabbing
Getting a card.
animal.
Yep.
And so we just kind of like sat there, just not really doing anything. So I feel like this game might play a little better with more than 2 people.
And that's common with a lot of these games. The tuning mechanism for playing with 2 as opposed to 3 or 4 is that you have, like, I think about half the deck taken out.
Yeah.
About half the deck, give or take, is marked as 3 or more players. So you do play with a much smaller pool of cards. So you're right. Like, I think you'll, like, on the flip side, it'll be a bigger deck, but yeah, you'll have more options for, like, probably the same combination of numbers and symbols you need.
Yeah.
One thing we'll mention just for honorable mentions is there is a solo/co-op mode that we didn't try, but it comes with this little journal here. I think this might be exclusive to the deluxe edition, but I'm not 100% sure. But there's basically 20 different scenarios in the game that tell you, that give you like specific goals and specific scenarios that you have to get, and then specific scoring assignments or mechanisms that you need to get to win the scenario. So there is a co-op version which we didn't try. It's a weird, it feels like a weird game for a co-op mode. Like, it does feel like a very, like, intentionally designed competitive game.
Yeah, I kind of wish that I knew what the mode was, because I don't really actually know how that would work whatsoever.
Well, do you want me to read from the book?
I would love that.
All right. It's been a pleasure to mentor you through your education.
Boy.
Over the past few years, I've watched you grow from a shy student to a very capable field biologist. As a junior biologist, you'll be spending the next year in the field and working with teams from around the world. On your journey, you'll meet zoologists, ecologists, climatologists, and many others. I know you've always had a passion for North American keystone animals, and I'm excited to see you follow that passion out in the world. This field journal is my graduation present to you. As you know, a biologist's field journal is their most important tool. With this book, you'll find different assignments you'll be expected to complete. There are 3 important parts to pay attention to when completing a new assignment. All assignments require you to set the game up in a unique way. They really went just like, they're like really thematic, and then just all of a sudden, but now you're just playing a game.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget here. This isn't school. This is a game.
All assignments require you to set up the game in a unique way. Sometimes researching requires a new approach, so make sure you always check the assignment setups to ensure you're starting off right. Most assignments have special rules for you to follow. As you travel, your destinations will have different regulations and customs, so make sure you read the special rules carefully. And all assignments have unique win conditions, and when there are multiple, they must be satisfied simultaneously. You'll be studying something different with each assignment, and the win conditions will let you know when you have completed your work. Obviously, your field journal is important, so don't lose it in a river or canyon in your travels. By the end of the year, I expect its pages to be filled with many exciting observations and discoveries. Sincerely, Professor Howell. Then there's a whole thing here. Yeah, so the first game, shuffle the species cards and draw 6 for the field. Use skills tokens 3, 4, and 9. You were asking before about the skill token numbers on them. You thought that was like the cost to use them.
Oh, yeah.
All wild cards are available, and use secret objective card number 10. Take 5 tokens, and then the goal is to just end the game with 50 or more victory points.
Okay.
And then number 2, yeah, so it just has like variables in it, and then it has like a little kind of like narrative introduction for each assignment.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it would be, what game is it? So Spirit of the Forest is another game that's kind of similar to this in terms of like having this nature featured tableau thing. And in the most recent Kickstarter they did for it, they added a co-op mode. And it's very similar where like the game is normally just set up randomly with these like 30 tiles or whatever. And in the co-op mode, like you just set the tiles up in specific configurations and have like specific rule mechanisms to play it. So I would definitely play the co-op mode to try it out.
Yeah.
I think the co-op mode might be an improvement on the 2-player experience, the issues you have with the 2-player experience, and then the 3 or more play with the multiplayer.
Okay. What did you like about the game? Like, what are your favorite things about the game? Tactilely, I really like the neoprene mat. I think that having the deluxe edition with the neoprene mat's really nice. Mm-hmm. It's not a big deal, but I think the neoprene mat does make I would have liked to see. I haven't seen the non-deluxe version, but I don't think it comes with a board. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been not a terrible addition just to have like a cardboard board that matches the neoprene mat. Yeah. I really like the aesthetic and the artwork. I think the artwork's really nice. Once you kind of know, like, it's not a complicated game. I don't think the game is super complicated. I don't think the rules are hard to parse. I think it's just weirdly designed compared to other traditional board games, especially tableau builders. Yeah.
So I think kind of once you wrap your head around it, I do think it's a very well designed and interesting game. I don't think it's a game that I would break out very often for myself because again, I like to try to make. I'm not good at board games, but I always try to go for like really efficient turns. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a game where like really have to embrace that kind of this is as good as it gets, and I'm never gonna get that perfect tableau, right? Yeah. So like I think you and I both kind of built from the same way where we started on the outside and worked in because you can do that 5-4-3-2 or 1-2-3-4-5 from the inside out. And so like that's where our middle parts just kind of fell apart. And I think that's not bad game design. I think we both did fairly well in the second game, points wise. But yeah, it's just one of those games where it's just like I don't do well with like very constrained and like I'm not a very long term thinker when it comes to board games. That's why Carcassone's one of my favorite games, because it's always just like flip the tile and then kind of make the best out of it.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you have to kind of constantly be thinking about how you want to build your overall tableau and make sure everything synergizes together. So from the positives, like I said, I think it's very well designed. I think I ended up having fun with it. I know we weren't really super blown away the first time.
Yeah.
I think once we kind of had that first game out of the way and understood what we were doing, I think the second game was quite a bit better.
Yeah.
We were both very invested from like a competition level, which I think is like a good sign. Yeah, aesthetics, art, design, like they're all really good. I just don't think this is a little too puzzly for me. I don't really like super tight puzzly games, and this feels like a very tight puzzly game. So if you like tight puzzly games, I think this is a really good choice for you.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all of those points. Like, I don't think this is my kind of game, and pretty much like after we played the first like half match we played, and then even after the first one, I wasn't really in love with the game. But then once we like played it one more time, and I actually understood like most of the rules and like how to actually play, like it seemed a lot easier once you understand everything, which like sounds weird, but like it was super hard at the start. Like it seemed like I had no idea what was happening at the start, and then you slowly figure it out. So like after like probably playing like 2 or 3 times, you'll like actually know what you're doing, and it'll be a lot more fun. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of not just this one specifically, but just like in general of like, well, this is what I have, and like this is how I'll use it, and hopefully it works. Like I like planning ahead and being like, hey, this is what I want to do. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and like here's what I want to do. Like here's what I want to achieve. And like you can't do that in this game. Like you can kind of do it, but then like you'll hit a wall where you just can't do anything, and you just have to not really throw the game, but like you hit a point where you're like, well, now I'm like losing on cards, or I'm losing in points, and I just have to try to scrounge up as many points as I can so it's not as embarrassing of a loss. But yeah, I also really like the art. That was like my main point that I was going to say. I really, really like all the cards. I really like what all the animals look like. And it is a weird style. Like I really like how it's almost realistic, but then when you like look at it, it's just like,
yeah,
just drawings.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's not my style of game, but I do think it is like
Oh my, who the
good
fuck is
game.
calling us?
Yeah, who's calling us at 9:30 p.m.? We close at 9 p.m.
Metawe Games, David speaking. Oh, we're interrupting our YouTube video.
Oh, is it Jen?
Huh? You want to talk to her?
Nope.
All right. Ethan does not want to talk to you. Yeah. All right. I'll let him know. All right. Bye. Jen says she didn't want to talk to you, and you can go to hell.
Wow. Oh, buddy, almost made squash go to hell. What was I saying? The art was good. Oh, yeah. It's not my style of game, but I do think...
Am I still on camera?
What?
I don't know if I'm still on frame.
You're just leaning out super far?
I was slid over.
I'm going to try that for a third time.
Nice. Hit me.
I don't think it's my style of game, but overall, I do think it is a well-made game, and I do think if you enjoy that RNG style of game, you will enjoy this a lot.
See, it's so funny because we both come at it from different points. I don't like games where you have to do a lot of planning. I just like to react, and you do like games where you have to do a lot of planning and don't have to just react. And we both don't like it for. But I mean,
like
but that's the thing, though. I think like it is both of those things. You do have to plan your whole tableau, but also just react to the cards that come up.
Yeah.
So it's too random for you and too planning for me.
Yeah. Well,
real Goldilocks situation.
0 to 10.
Is that your actual rating?
No. My actual rating, I'd say it's like 6 out of 10. I think it's good for what it is. It's just not my style of game. So I would say to take that score with a grain of salt, because if I actually liked this genre of game, I would say it's probably like a 7 or an 8. But kind of giving it a few extra points just because like I know that it's just a personal reason that I'm not a huge fan of it.
And that's Keystone North America.
Yep, because he doesn't do ratings, so that's my job. That's the one thing I bring to the show.
So next time, episode 3, we're going to...
Hello. It is Ethan from the future. I was working on the video, and I realized that we accidentally sold all of our copies of That Time You Killed Me. So we're switching it up, and we're playing... Oh, boy. A Battle Through History. So keep your eyes out for that. Should be posted next week. Bye.
Do the
Thanks
thing
so
that you
much.
do on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Leave a comment on what you want to see us play.
Visit our web store.
Our web store. Order some games. What was that other company called? Rose Gauntlet. Send me a goddamn hoodie. Please. Thanks for watching.
Times
Bye.
2.